Noodle and Hato had journeyed for 2 days and nights, the bird flittering ahead, guiding their way. A light snow fell as silent as blossom, sparkling in the half-light and erasing all trace of Noodle's footsteps. By the time dawn clambered over the mountains, the path had opened into a mighty ravine, with sheer rock walls on either side as high as Tokyo skyscrapers. A long crack ran up one of the cliffs, as if hewn by some ancient kaiju at the dawn of time. Hato flew to it and hovered. Noodle pointed at the fissure.
Climb?
The bird flapped excitedly. Noodle shifted her katana onto her back and began her ascent. The rock was as smooth as porcelain, so only by bracing herself between the walls could she scramble up. Some 50 feet from the ground, she stopped and peered down. The wind whistled through her limbs, and she shuddered as she pictured herself splattering below like a blob of mochi ice cream. She climbed higher, her wrists beginning to tremble with fatigue. Suddenly, a hive of Suzumabachi, the deadly Japanese hornet, came swarming from the shadows in a dark, angry cloud. Startled, Noodle lost her grip and fell, flailing wildly in the air, before snatching hold of a lone branch that grew defiantly from the rock. She clung to it gratefully, feeling the blood pounding in her temples and waiting for her pulse to steady. Then she shimmied upwards again, all the way to the top, where she fell on her back, exhausted. The little bird fluttered into view above her.
Bravo! I thought you were a goner there.
Noodle gazed at the bird, wide-eyed.
Oh yes, I should have mentioned. I can talk.
Hato chittered. They journeyed on over plateaus, through ravines, towards distant jagged mountains that seemed further away with every step. As the hours passed, the sun traced an arc in the sky, cooling to amber as they arrived at the edge of a towering bamboo forest.
This forest is deep and full of danger. Shall we rest first? My wings are weary.
Hato said. Noodle shook her head grimly. Hato landed on her shoulder.
Then I'll nap here,
the bird said, shivering, then shrinking into a small ball of feathers. Noodle entered the forest, threading the dense maze of bamboo, each stem as tall as a house. In the wind, they moved as one. Like rippling corn, faint slivers of moonlight slipped through, illuminating a thick fog, carpeting the ground that looked like cotton wool. The gloom deepened the further Noodle walked. Fatigue began creeping over her, pulling at her limbs, filling them with lead. Her legs became so heavy it was as if they no longer belonged to her, but to the ground beneath her. And then she could walk no further.
Hato, I'm stuck.
Noodle said.
Hello? What?
Hato said, popping his head up and blinking the sleep from his eyes. Noodle couldn't see it through the gloom, but she could feel it. Something soft, like animal fur, crawling over her leg and tightening.
The earth! It's alive!
The bird flapped into life.
The Ashimagari! The cotton monster that traps walkers at night. Then, now try not to be alarmed. It absorbs their flesh.
I don't need Wikipedia. I need my sword!
Noodle yelled, fighting against the wispy tendrils that were wriggling up her body and pinning her arms tightly to her sides. But it was no good. The harder she fought, the tighter it held her, as if there was no limit to its inhuman strength. Improvising, Noodle switched up her tactics. Instead of resisting, she released all the tension in her body, flopping like a stringless puppet. And then she felt it. The creature relaxing too, as if it sensed its prey had submitted. That was all Noodle needed. Half a second to draw her sword. The Ashimagari reared up as Noodle slashed its writhing tendrils, dancing across them like a firewalker, and flipping backwards and landing on solid ground. Hato flew over and perched on Noodle's head, flapping wildly.
That was amazing!
Noodle sheathed her katana and shrugged.
This is not my first quest.
They marched on, across rivers, where swarms of fire mites danced under the starlight, over fallen trees, and past the crumbling remains of long-forgotten dwellings. All the way, Noodle moving as light and silent as a ghost. Several hours later, Weaving through a vast tangle of giant razor-sharp thistles, Noodle turned to the tiny bird.
I don't mean to be rude, Hato, but do you actually know where the all-seeing tree is?
What are you suggesting?
The bird replied.
Are we lost?
The bird perched on a high branch and surveyed the landscape.
Define lost.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank these patrons and channel members for making GP Reads possible. Nightmare Luna, Lily Ardat, Free Spirit Katie, Dobby's Music, Jerry Mullins, CNK114, Granny Monster, and Agnieszka. Thank you all again for allowing me to do what I love. If you'd like to have your name on this list, you can join any tier on the Patreon linked below, or join this YouTube as a channel member. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Peace out!